Ines here, and I just wanted to let you know how I'm doing after the Ironman, which was a bit over a week ago. And yeah, I think it's about time to share some of my feelings, how I've been doing since, how did I feel on race day. And well, I have to say that I've been thinking a lot about how to make this video because I struggled to find the words the days after the race. I was very emotional every time I was crossing the finish line, and I was just so happy about everything and about how special the day felt and everything that I was going through, and especially seeing all my friends being there during the run and some of them during the bike as well, all the messages that I received, which made me feel so lucky and so happy that, again, if you're seeing this, I cannot thank you enough for all the support, and it really made me feel so lucky. But yeah, going straight to the point, I just wanted to say that I'm extremely happy the race went better than I had ever planned. I, of course, had some goals in mind of what I wanted to do, timing-wise, but I can also say I adjusted quite a lot during the process and the training. I think in the beginning I had set quite ambitious goals of what I wanted to do, and that was a mathematical calculation with no breaks, ideal pace and everything. And then I think, especially having done the 70.3 in Helsingør and then actually getting used to the new bike, I adjusted a little bit along the way and I was a bit more gentle to my body. So the goal was never a timing goal. I was like, of course, if I fall into this range, I would be super happy with the time. But for me, it was more about completing it, having a good experience, and ultimately loving the sport, which I can confirm I still love it. So yeah, I'll get to this afterwards, but I don't think my triathlon journey is over. And yeah, so of course, timing wise, I had a time in mind, or at least a range, and I was within the range I wanted to make. But I don't like talking about times and about how fast or how slow someone was. I think I like to talk better about experience and how I felt throughout. So yeah, I'm gonna split this into the 3 disciplines that happened, and also a bit more into how was the preparation, how was the race day, race morning, even race weekend. So I think I can share a little bit more of everything and how was it for me. So I think I need to start a bit backwards because I want to tell a bit more about the race weekend. So I had to go to collect my race number, my backpack and everything, like transition bags, on Friday. I don't know how familiar you guys are with how transition works in triathlon, but I'm gonna save that card for another video in case you guys are interested. So please let me know if you would like to know more about that. But basically, on Friday, I went with a couple of friends to collect everything I was gonna need for race day and register for the race and get my Ironman bracelet. So I did that on Friday. I feel like it's always great when you go to the expo of any race, even if it's just running, because then you get a bit more into race mode. You see other participants, you talk to the volunteers, you get in the mode of racing, and I feel like it's always a mood buster. So I love it, and even when you go to the Ironman village, you get this mood buster multiplied by 10 because it's just crazy vibes. And yeah, so I did it on Friday. Then I went again on Saturday to drop my bike and all my transition bags that I was mentioning before. So in the evening, I actually went to my friend's birthday, and that was super nice to actually relax, see friends, talk about something else, because up in my head, I had triathlon for the entire week or also even for like weeks and months. So it was nice to have some distraction and share some time with friends, and of course celebrate the birthday of my friend. And that was super nice to relax and disconnect. And then I went home. I just had some dinner, went to bed, and the morning after I prepared all the gear that I was gonna need for race day. So then I prepared the transition bags. I always like to put it on the floor, laying down and organizing all the gear in a way that I can easily visualize, so I can remember if I'm missing something. I also have a checklist, which I can of course share if you would like to see it. But I basically put down everything I need, and then I tick every item that I have put in the box. For this, it was also new that I had to put the nutrition I was gonna need for the run, since the transition places were different and I was not gonna be able to access my bag on the day after. But yeah, so once I prepared everything, I made sure the bike was ready. I put everything in my backpack, of course, after eating some crazy amount of pasta again before the day before the race. And I bike to the starting zone where I was going to drop my bike and the transition bags. So I go there. This time I actually went alone. I was very focused and I was in the mood of just relaxing and motivating myself and being a bit focused, and of course extremely nervous. I'm not gonna lie, but I was super nervous. I couldn't really think about anything else. So I just went there, left my things, found my bike spot, and yeah, once all of that was done, I went home, and again I had crazy amount of pasta. I was actually super full, and this was pretty early. This was maybe around 6 p.m. because since the amount of pasta was actually pretty big, I had to digest it and make sure by the time I was going to bed I was not feeling super full. So I prepared the last things I needed for the day after, and then I woke up. I was planning on waking up at 3:45 a.m. so it was a very early start. But yeah, so I managed to actually sleep. You know that feeling when you think, oh, I'm not sure if I'm sleeping or not, because I feel like I didn't really rest that much. But I have the feeling since I went to bed around 9 and I woke up at 3:45, I think I slept, because otherwise the night would have been so long and it didn't feel that long. So I actually think I had a pretty decent sleep on the night before the race. So I'm glad. Then I woke up and I had my usual pre-race breakfast, which is bread with Nutella. I had planned on eating a bit more, but I was actually still full from the pasta from the day before, so I couldn't eat that much. I ate the 3 pieces of bread and a coffee, which is still quite a lot, and also a banana, but all the drink mix that I was planning on taking, I actually couldn't take it. So I brought it with me to the race. Then I took the metro, and surprisingly the metro was super crowded for considering the time of the day. But there was also another participants for the Ironman, so it was already quite a nice vibe. You could tell everyone was super nervous. But yeah, I got to the start of the race and everything happened incredibly fast. Like, I checked my bike. Big thanks to that guy who I could borrow the bike pump from, because I had not so much air in my tires, and then I borrowed the bike pump, and that was super nice. He had a very nice and fancy bike pump, which I think I need to buy a new one for myself. So yeah, I made sure everything was ready for the bike, put an extra thing on my transition bag, and then it was time for going to the bathroom, finishing my drink mix. I also have to confess that I always have one of those Red Bull lights before. I feel like it's now a tradition that I do every time before a race, and now I have to keep up with it. Yeah, so I got ready, I put on the wetsuit, went in the water. I went in the water before to do a bit of warm-up. I wanted to test that my neck was fine with the wetsuit because sometimes I get some chafing. So I actually put a lot of anti-chafing lotion, and so I was ready for the swim. And it was actually a very cute story from the race morning. I met some girls in the transition area, which was actually super sweet conversation that we had. We wished each other good luck. We were all first timers, so it was like super special to share some nerves, especially since I had been alone since the evening before. So it was actually quite nice to talk to someone about it. And yeah, we wish each other good luck. And then I went to the start line, and here is where I feel like I'm starting to get so emotional by going through all of these and sharing a bit more. But yeah, well, you can see in my eyes, like I'm just getting so excited about it. But I went to the start, and in the Ironman events, they always do these very cool speeches at the start. So they played the anthem of Denmark. Then we had some mention to the Vikings, because you also have this second medal, which is like the Viking of the North, if you complete 2 Ironman events, which I would get at the start. If at that point I didn't know, but if I finished the Ironman, then I would get both the Ironman medal and also the Viking of the North medal. So they did an introduction of that. Then, of course, a very motivational speech. And we were ready to go. So then I started the swim. So once they gave the go, I was ready. And then everything happened so fast, as I was saying. Then 1 second I was out of the water, and the second after I was running towards the water. And then the swim was actually pretty smooth. I feel like I'm quite comfortable with the swim. But of course, you never know, because there's other people out there. There's also like a lot of hands and legs everywhere. But it was actually a pretty nice swim, and I enjoyed it. I could swim quite smooth for most of the time. There was a tiny bit which was a bit crowded, and it got a bit messy, but nothing that was too bad. And there was a section which had a lot of seaweed, so that was not so nice. But I mean, we were in it for the whole day, and that was just a tiny bit, so didn't care too much. So I just went for it, and I actually felt really good during the swim. I felt strong. I felt like I could keep pace. I was not really looking at my watch. I was going more by time, so I could, my watch beeps every time there is like 500, 1,000 meters, so every 500 meters, and then I could see how much time I was doing, and it was quite stable. I have it programmed in that way, so I don't get too obsessed, and I go more like feeling, and I was feeling strong. So it was a good swim. Got out of the water, and here is where I actually spent quite a lot of time in the transition zone, because I felt like it was very short. Like usually when you get out of the water, you have some time to, run towards your back, dry off a little bit on the way. And then you get there, you get off your wetsuit, and then nothing is like super, super wet. But this time there was like a big lake on the floor, and I was like, oh my God, I'm never gonna be able to change here. My socks are gonna be wet. So I actually went into the women's changing room, which was like next to it, and it was very nice. I just had the entire place for myself. I could dry my feet properly. I could clean them because they were like a bit sandy. So I really wanted to make sure I wouldn't have blisters. I actually had to put a Compete on both of my feet because I usually get blisters with the running shoes. I've been experiencing this. I think maybe I need to optimize this a little bit more, but I really wanted to run in those shoes, and they had given me blisters in the half Ironman I did in June. So I was like, okay, I know how to prevent it. I'll put on the Compete. I'll waste a bit more time. So I did that. Then I was ready. I had a banana, a bit of water, and then I was ready to go. So I went to my bike, and then after running a little bit, then it was time to go on the bike and start the 180 kilometers. this was the real challenge for me, because even though I love biking very, very much, I always struggle a bit with the mechanics of it, and I'm a bit worried in case there is some technical issues or some problems with it. So that makes me a little bit nervous, and I'm just like, I don't know if I will be able to fix it, but let's go for it. So it was quite nice that I saw my friends who were cheering. Thank you again so much for coming so early in the morning and seeing me for just 1 second, but it really made a difference, and I could hear my name and I was just so happy. So I went on the bike and I started the journey. And I have to say that I'm actually really proud about how this bike ride went, because I had the crash on the triathlon bike a week before the half Ironman in Helsingør. And yeah, even though nothing super major happened, I was scared for that race. And then since then, I said to myself, I need to go outside and bike a lot on this bike, but I didn't do it. Big disclaimer here. But I think it was partially because I was still a bit scared, and I had enjoyed the Helsingør bike ride. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna practice with this bike, but I'm gonna do it on Swift. And I had friends telling me, Ines, you need to get out, you need to overcome this fear. But one thing and another, and I didn't dare to do it. So I was just feeling more comfortable on Swift. And then once the race day was approaching, I was just like, no, it's too soon. So I cannot have an accident or nothing bad can happen. So I just freaked out and I said, no, I'm just gonna do it on Swift. And if I go outside, I go with the other bike. So yeah, I didn't have that much experience on the triathlon bike, which it's maybe not optimal, but I actually enjoyed the bike ride. It was quite windy, but I still managed to stay on the bike and be comfortable with it, even though I didn't get to go that much on the aero bars, because I had to control from the handlebar to prevent the wind taking so much of my wheel, the front wheel especially. So yeah, I just did the entire ride, and I saw some friends as well cheering, which was quite nice, especially since I had been alone for quite a long time on the bike. So it was nice to see some familiar faces along the bike course. That made me super happy. And yeah, so I completed the bike ride. I managed to get all the nutrition I had planned, all the liquids, drink mix. So all of that went super smooth. I did small toilet break at 100k, which was actually nice. I didn't really need to go, but it was like that point when you start thinking, oh, I could go to the toilet. And then I was like, I could push it, but then I'm not going to enjoy the bike ride because I'm going to be thinking about it all the time. So I just went, and it was actually a good decision because I had no lines, I didn't have to wait. So it was actually pretty nice. And then I got back into the city. I realized how bumpy the roads are. So once we were getting closer and closer to the city, there were more bumps. But yeah, then I was just so happy that the bike ride was over. And then I got into the city, and it was so overwhelming in a very good way when I could hear everyone cheering. And it was just like from going from complete silence and just hearing the wind in my ears to then all of these voices and faces and trying to spot people. So it was overwhelming in a very, very good way. So yeah, I dropped my bike. Very nice. I actually just handed it out to a volunteer. And then I said thank you and ran to my bag where I had my shoes, put them on, realized how warm it was because I hadn't really noticed. It was like really sunny, but I hadn't noticed how warm it was until I sat down to put on my shoes. And it was like, wow, I'm gonna need a lot of water today and a lot of electrolytes. But yeah, so in my head, I was actually relaxed. The bike ride was over. And I thought, I only need to run now. This is easy. It's no more technical issues, which if I think it now, it's actually a bit crazy because it's a pretty long run. It's a marathon, but yeah, I was actually really relaxed and very happy about it. So then I actually went to the toilet again because I was like, yeah, let's just start the marathon, be fresh. And I started running and I started seeing my friends along the course. So this was amazing. I was just like, with a big smile, I couldn't stop smiling. And I was just like running the street of Copenhagen, which I always run around. And it was just like perfect. I saw friends in so many different spots, and the way the course is established is 4 loops of around 10K. So you actually have the chance of seeing people multiple times, which is pretty cool. And it does something really good for the head to know you have someone there. And yeah, I could run the entire way. I was ready to walk if needed. That was what I was thinking before the race. But I actually was able to run the entire way and only walked during the water stops to make sure I had the right amount of liquids and the right amount of electrolytes and the sponges and everything. So I was so happy I could run the entire way. And also a funny thing is that you run by the finish line. So you could hear, oh, whoever, you are an Ironman. And then I was thinking, oh my God, I'm closer to this. I'm going to be there next. So I was just like, oh my God, it's going to happen so soon. And yeah, I just had a goal in mind, smile on my face, a lot of support from my friends, and I just was just going for it. So yeah, very, very good run, no pain, nothing, everything was good. And then the final moment arrived, and yeah, this was great. I got to the red carpet, and then I just had one thing in mind. You have to ring the first timer bell. So this is a funny anecdote. I get there, there's no bell. The bell was broken, but I still was ringing the string, which was hanging there, and it just felt like it was a bell. So I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna become an Ironman. Now I can say it. And yeah, then it was my time to hear the famous words, Ines, you are an Ironman, and I couldn't be happier at that time. I'm still happy, like you can see. The funny thing is that if you see the videos of me crossing the finish line, I immediately hug the volunteer who gives me the medal. And you might think, oh, she has a lot of love to share, but it was actually my colleague. So in one of the loops, he had said to me, I have the medal for you. And I gave him a thumbs up. I didn't know he was going to be there, but it just made me so happy to see a familiar face. And I crossed the finish line, he gave me the medal, he's an Ironman himself. And yeah, he just knew I was doing the race and was ready to give me the medal. So it made it very, very special. And then I was, so happy. I was in this area where everyone that finishes can have some food and something to drink. You get your bag as well. And I got that Viking medal I was mentioning before. So the Viking of the North medal, a pretty cool one if you ask me. So that's really nice. Then I had my 2 medals, which I was so happy about. And I was an Ironman. How crazy is that? So yeah, basically that was my race. I hope you enjoyed my long race weekend recap. We can call it like that, not just race recap, because this was pretty extensive one. But I just wanted to share the whole experience. And yeah, it doesn't end just there, because once I had some pizza and some Coca-Cola, then I actually left that area. I sent a selfie to my parents and my sister as well to let them know I was there and I had finished. They were also tracking, so I had tons of messages in the family chat, but I just wanted to send them a photo. Then I went out and my friends were waiting for me. So it made me so happy to see them again after seeing them multiple times during the running course. And yeah, that was so nice. I was just telling them how the day went, and we took some photos, and we went for dinner to one of my friend's place. We went all together We cooked some pasta. I had a shower because I was actually very sweaty and a bit disgusting. So I had a shower at her place. I don't know how my brain had planned it, but I had a towel, I had clothes with me, so I was actually ready. But yeah, it was nice that I had all of that because then I could just change and be comfortable. So we had some pasta for dinner, which was really nice, and we talked about the day. Also, another of my friends had done an ultra marathon the day before, and he was also there. So we were talking about both of our events, and we had our legs up as well because they were starting to feel pretty tired, and had a very cozy time to wrap up a perfect weekend and a very long day. But yeah, so then we just wrapped it up because it was also a Sunday. We had to work the day after. Went to collect my bike and my bags, which were still in the transition zone, and then took the train home with all my gear. I got some kudos from people in the metro, also other Ironmans, so it was actually a very cool vibe to go home like that. And yeah, it was just a very cool experience, which continued and still continues today because I still, like, with the people I haven't seen, they give me congrats. Also at work, they brought me flowers and a very nice postcard. So that was super cute. And I think now I have managed to put into words how I felt and give this description of how my day was. I think I still have more things to share and things that might be interesting for some people. So I'm more than happy if you have any questions to answer them, see what's interesting. And I'm just really just trying this format and see how it feels. But I actually enjoy quite a lot this little talk and sharing how I feel in a bit of a longer format. But yeah, let me know if it's interesting, if you want to know anything specific. And in the meantime, I will just keep smiling and share how happy I am for, I can say it, becoming an Ironman, and just leaving it on a happy note. I don't think it's the end of my triathlon journey. Don't have a challenge yet, a new challenge. But I will have an eye on what's out there and keep you guys updated. So yeah, this is me for now, and see you soon. Bye!